to another edition of International Forum. My name is Wilson Marshall. Sincere apologies for coming behind schedule. We have to put two and two together to give you at least a near perfect show. Talking about International Forum, it cuts across borders as in outside Nigeria. Yes, goes into different continents across the world outside of Nigeria. But right now, it's all about what is happening in Sudan, when protesters came out en masse here in Khartoum, the capital, to say, look, we want military rule. I mean, there used to be this power-sharing formula between some civilians and, of course, some top military hierarchy. They were leading or governing the country together. But all of a sudden, there was a change in the song. There was a change in demand. When they came out en masse to say, look, enough of all this politics, enough of all this headache, this is what we want. Is that really attainable in democratic dispensation? Is it a necessity, or is it a slap on democracy? All these and more will take a look at in today's edition of International Forum. With me here in the studio, I have a legal practitioner. Join me to welcome Barrister Henry Nwanzo. Barrister, welcome to International Forum. I appreciate your coming.
Brothers and sisters at home, thank God for today.
Yeah. And of course, our other person sitting here with us, he is a vibrant political analyst. Yes, he is also a journalist. Join me to welcome Winter Igbotako. Welcome to International Forum.
Good afternoon,
I appreciate your coming.
It's good to be here.
All right. Let me start off from you, Barrister Henry Nwanzo. What do you feel about this crack? People have been thinking that since there is this sharing formula between civilians and, of course, the military, there should be peace in Sudan, but it's like peace is eluding Sudan. The crisis is deepening, and they all came out en masse to say enough is enough.
Well, one thing you must understand in this part of the world is the type of democracy we practice is not the same as the other parts of the world they are practicing. You'll find out that the people, for 30 years, al-Bashir was there. Nothing changed. 3 years after, it's the same old song that the people are still singing. No reasonable person will want to remain for 33 years, if I may calculate it, 30 years of al-Bashir and 3 years, 2019 to the present day. It's the same old song. The people are talking about injustice. The people are talking about inequality. What does the common man needs in the society? It's a roof over his head, what to feed on with his family. He has good education, you have a healthcare system where he can easily go. But you find that our leaders in Africa will continue to do the same thing the same way and expect a different result, which is not possible. We claim we are practicing democracy. In Sudan, as it were, you have the military, you have Israel. They have a transitional government. For almost 2 years or thereabout, they have a transitional government. The question is, what has benefited the people as a people? Because these are the issues. The people needed a change. That was why they pushed al-Bashir out. In September, there was an attempted coup, which failed, as it were. Then what has happened from that period to this hour as well? So the people are coming and asking the military to take over, because it is a government that has been shared between the military and the civilians. And the military on their own say, okay, we want to reshuffle the cabinet, as it were. The same civilians are equally at the same time say, oh, trying to put blame that, oh, you want to take over government, as it were. But the question is, what has they been able to do? For a man was 30 years there, he never changed anything. The life of the people was never better. 3 years after the man was pushed away, the same thing, worse than they met, the man left them. That is what they are passing through. So the high level of injustice, inequality is on the high side. And in a society where there is injustice, inequality, just as you find in this part of the world where we live, there will never be peace, because the people will continue to agitate. The people will continue to ask for their rights. A man will wake up in the morning, he is not sure of the next meal. Such a man will not be smiling. It's not possible. The wives and the children are there. Such a man will wake up in the morning, the child is not sure of a good health. The child is not sure that he has a school to go to. He has no roof over his head. There's nobody who will be happy. This is what you find in Africa. It is a common thing. Virtually all African states. It's only very few have been able to manage, maybe Rwanda and few others like South Africa. Even at that, you see crises all over. But virtually all African states are passing through the same scenario, as it were. Just as we in this part of the world, we are trying to accommodate ours. because Nigerians, we are known, even when we are dying, we are always smiling, because fella, that is like the song. Even in suffering, we are smiling. Because it's the same thing we are passing through. You can imagine a situation where a gas that is being fled in this part of the world, we are buying 8,500 to 12 point something kg gas. You can imagine a situation like that. The same fuel where you produce in your country, you buy it one city, something like that. So these are the issues. And in this part of the world, the people are tired. And that is why they are asking that needs to be done, But to me, the military coming in does not change this. It does not change the situation as it were, because it's the same people. They live in that country. None of them is coming from the sky. None of them is coming from America or from Britain. They live in that same country. They have been part of the system. What have they been able to do to change the situation for the people? Nothing. They, on their own, have become politicians. Just as you have in this part of the world, they all become politicians. If you see the military, whose primary responsibility is to protect the territorial integrity of his nation. Rather, he is interested in politics. He's interested in the number of houses he's going to build. He's interested in the number of cars he's going to have. And that is why the situation is there. So, asking the military to come in, to me, will not change anything as it were. It's still the same old wine in the same old bottle. That is the position as it were. So, to me, they have their right for the agitation, and maybe God being on their side, they will be able to push further. And in pushing further, the military even coming in, but I don't see a situation whereby they are going to do better than what they have done today.
We'll come to that if they will do better. Well, you heard them. They are calling for a military coup in Sudan. They came out in March saying this is what we want. Enough is enough. What do you feel about this?
It is a very pathetic situation, just as they have said. The people are disillusioned. What we see is disillusionment. They are sick and tired of the crop of leaders that are showcasing themselves in Sudan, in Khartoum. This is a country where we had Jafar El-Nimeri, who was chased away because people could not access bread. The country has been unfortunate to have leaders, tyrants, despots, people who don't care a hoot about the people. Jafar El-Nimeri was there for donkey years. Before you know it, when Omar al-Bashir came in, al-Bashir performed atrocities. Al-Bashir was parochial, was self-centered. He did not give a hoot about the people, which led to his ouster in September 2019. You have the man who is holding brief now, Al-Badr Hamdok, the prime minister. The people are disillusioning this guy. That one led to the coup that failed about a month ago. The coup came, and he said, what is happening? We chase away Al-Bashir. What are we having? A group of jesters, political jesters, so to say, who are not serious with the people. In that country, you have 400 inflation, 400% inflation in the country. I was flipping through the things a few days ago. 400% inflation in the country, Sudan. The people are going through hell. They are going through what is worse than hell. For a people to now be calling for what it look like an impossible situation. What is obtainable these days is democracy. Democracy. Even we know the democratic leaders are not even, they are not fantastic leaders. Just as we have in Nigeria and elsewhere. So it's like there's a cause, it's tragic. So, maybe from my experience as a civil society person, for the people to be calling for a coup, they are not alone. There are people that are pushing them.
We are coming to that. If they are being pushed on what they really want. Yes.
People don't just come out. Everything is organized. Apart from the civil society background. Nothing happened by chance. There are people who is pushing them, do this and let's come in. Probably that will change the situation, because we're in Rwanda, the other guy is there, that tall guy, Kagame.
Kagame is there.
Kagame is performing wonder. Despite it's like quasi military civilian stuff. He's not a Democrat per se. But Kagame is doing wonders. If at the end of the day, the people of Sudan, we have somebody who is clear-headed, who can solve their crisis, who can pay the way, let it be. Because they are disillusioned, they are tired, they've seen this Abada, Amdok, the Prime Minister and his crew. They are not interested in their welfare.
All right. From what you said, these people are being pushed to do what they are doing.
Everything is organized from experience.
From experience.
Nothing happened by chance.
Our civil society point of view, do you feel that this was organized? Talking about the protests. They went to Khartoum, went there also to the military base, to the capital, saying this is what we want. We want military rule, not even democratic rule.
You see, accepted to some extent, you might look at it because there's no smoke without fire.
No smoke without fire.
But again, the question there still remains: the people need a change. That is the position. It's not like at a point in time in this country, we all were shouting, we need a change, we need a change. We saw the change we needed. Though accepted that maybe the leaders on their own part, they have a different mindset as it were. Because the problem we have in Africa is that the type of democracy we practice, it is not a homegrown democracy. I don't want a situation where somebody will want to look at your economy. You are equating your economy with that of Britain. We are equating your economy with that of Germany and others, USA. No! You should look at your environment. You should look at that which makes you quite different from the other parts of the world. You look inwards and see how you develop yourself and become better. Make your people more better. Because what we are talking about is that we want a situation whereby the man in the street has a, if a man who is not hungry will not be agitating. It's because these people are hungry. It's because there's no job opportunity for these people. It's because their children, after graduation, just as you have in this part of the world, some people graduated over 20 years ago. They have never worked anywhere. And somebody tomorrow will be asking you, put publication and say 5 years experience. Where do you get the experience from being
unemployed? Yeah.
You see, these are the issues. So we live in a society where the type of democracy we practice is the one that we copy from the other parts of the world. We should have our own grown democracy where we look inwards, try to see what actually is the needs of our people. How do we go? A man who is acquiring wealth for great-grandchildren, what is he acquiring wealth for? The question you ask yourself, you want to build mansions all over the world at the expense of the people. At the end of the day, who is going to inherit them? The children you are planning for will all grow up tomorrow and want to build their own houses. That which you have built automatically becomes a kitchen. Or for what? So until we learn to remove the issue of greed, because greed is part of the problem we have in this part of the world. There is greed. A man wants to go acquiring and acquiring. Until we make leadership, let it be service. Because as it is now, a man who is going to occupy a political office automatically is looking at it, this is where I'm going to make my millions from. A man is just made a councillor. In less than 1 year or 2 years, the man will buy a Jeep and be driving. How much is his salary? These are the issues. A man is made, but if you make these offices less attractive, a man is going for the position of a councillor. He knows he's going to be given allowances anytime he sits. The man is going to a national assembly. He knows his allowances that he's going to give. Nobody will be fighting for the position. It will be only those who actually have the interest of the people that will be fighting for the position. The man who wants to be president will know that as I'm coming in, I'm going to make sacrifice for my people. I'm not going to be thinking of how I'm going to build mansions in Dubai, build in America, and build in Spain. You understand what I'm talking about? So that is what you find. Africans should learn and do their homegrown democracy, where you put into consideration the needs of your people, try and actualize it. Trying to look the market forces, comparing yourself with America, Britain, does not help anybody as it were. And that is the challenge we have. Because at the end of the day, you find out that you are in your own country, where you can produce. This country, take for example, Nigeria here. That the refineries that were all built from granite. In those days, it was from granite.
From agriculture.
From agriculture, completely. That was where all these refineries and all these things you find in this part.
Proceed from
granite, proceed from rubber, cocoa, palm oil, and all what. But today you don't have them. You don't have them. Everybody is talking about white-collar job. Everybody is talking about, I want to join politics, because overnight you become a millionaire.
All right. Now, some are of the opinion that instead of these people to start fighting for a total democracy, they are talking about military. Why do you think they are down for a military coup, knowing fully well that democracy is a government for the people, by the people, and of course, for the people.
Which government for the people? In Africa?
In Africa, yes, democracy is thriving.
It's not.
The people. What talk about military? It's like something else.
In Africa, what do we have? Democracy for the elite.
It's for the elite. And the elite.
And the elite.
And their family.
And great-grandchildren. So it is a scenario, as you have said. It's quite unfortunate. It's tragic. You know, as I said earlier, the people they are faced with the devil and the deep blue sea. Abada Amdok, the Prime Minister, has failed them. They've lost confidence in him.
But don't forget that he's not the one ruling Sudan alone. We have the military council
Yeah,
also.
he's the Prime Minister.
They are working hand in hand.
Yeah, he's the Prime Minister, he's the arrowhead. You know, and the Sudanese, they've seen the crop of characters that in that transition council. They've seen them. They are Sudanese. They have dossiers on them. They know the antecedent. Like the Prime Minister Abada Amdok, they say he's a technocrat. If he is a technocrat and you are a Prime Minister and you have been in government for some years now, since 2019, and you cannot roll out fantastic economic policies, welfare risk program, emergency plans that will take care of the people, why was Abacha overthrown in the first place? They don't have agenda for the people. There's no way forward. That the people are sick and tired. For them, since we cannot get what we want, let's look for somebody that will, some people, people, adventurers, so to say, who will define a path for them, a path that will give them food, that will put food on their table. As I said, the same country where people cannot access bread. It was bread that chased, hard Nimeri away. The president saw before, this guy that is there now, like the guy that was chased away. Do people want to access, government? They want welfare.
But that's what they call the dividends of democracy. Talk about democratic rule.
The people, they've seen the crop of people that they cannot take them to the promised land. Okay, these people are supposed to midwife a transition program, so to say. And, okay, if you are going to midwife a transition program, does it mean people should rose to death? Must people die before
they get what they need?
They need. There must be a process. What they call emergency measures. So the present crop of leaders, they don't have foresight. That is the meaning of this disillusionment that the people are facing. They've seen that these guys cannot think for them. This guy cannot provide anything for them. This guy interested in themselves. That the end product of what they have been struggling for the past 3 years, 2019, he has done it to show. So for them, if a clear-headed guy, as I said, nothing happened by chance. From the civil society, I read conflict resolution. We read international politics, we know what happened. Nothing happened by chance. So maybe some clear-headed guys, revolutionaries, they say, let's push the people. Let's see only this government can fall before we step in. And don't be amazed. We may have some clear-headed people in the military.
Exactly.
Some countries have produced great leaders. Nasser, Jamal Abdel Nasser, Egypt. He left the revolution in 1957 or thereabout, and he paved the way for the modern Egypt. He chased away the monarchy. Nasser produced Mubarak and the rest of them. Clear-headed in Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara. Vibrant, clear-headed, loaded, intellectually sound young man. Who saw beyond upper voter. He checked upper voter to Burkina Faso, the land of great men. It is possible that there are some characters clear-headed in the Sudanese army who could do it because I've seen it done.
Rollins did it in Ghana.
Okay.
Rollins did it in Ghana. If not for Rollins, thank you. If not for Rollins, democracy that we experience in Ghana today will not have come on board.
All right.
Rollins did a lot of spade work.
That is a cleansing.
All right. Now, you just hold on. We'll come back after this break to continue with this discussion. Is military rule the answer to Sudanese crisis? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. We're taking a look at the Sudanese protests, a call for coup, a necessity. That is a huge question everyone is asking. Now, before we went on that break, what we're talking about clear-headed men
It's
on
possible.
khaki military. And it was reported that when the protesters were coming, it was the military personnel that removed the barricade from the way for them to forge ahead, for them to march ahead to the capital, to the center of power, demanding for a military coup. Don't you think that there is the hand of these military men in this protest?
Well, just as I rightly said before now, nobody is denying the fact because there is no smoke without fire. But another issue is what has those who have been in office done. If you look at it critically, it is only in the military rule that you find some development. Even in Nigeria here, you can look at it. Creation of states, most of the things that were done in terms of roads and all was done during the military era. Because the politicians have gathered themselves, over 100 and something of them, they are in the National Assembly, debating over. In fact, sometimes I begin to ask myself, who has done this to us as a people? Whether it is a crime to come from this part of the world, where people have lost their sense of direction.
Wow. Because
some of our leaders have felt that we don't know what we are doing. But God saved them. Because I told somebody of recent, I said, the day this country, the youths will wake up. Because even sometimes I begin to wonder what has even happened to the youth. They are busy. You see them in the whether Facebook talking about sex, survey. And you see, these are the issues they are discussing. Primary issues of your welfare, of your tomorrow. You graduated 10 years ago. Your parents are still feeding you. It is an abomination. A man who the parents have spent so much money to ensure that you acquire the education. After graduation, 10 years after, of 30-some years old man, he's still living with his parents. In a civilized world, nobody does that again. You should have been the one assisting your age parents to do one thing. Some parents have to mortgage their future to enable them to train their children. And today, those children cannot even assist them. And most of them die in poverty and penury. So when you see the people in Sudan talking about military rule, it's because they have seen the difference. Just as we equally in this part of the world, we equally say. That you have creation of state, local governments and all, we are done by the military. The civilian has never created anything. They have never done it. They have never thought it upon themselves to take some drastic action. I was coming from Asaba this morning to get to this program. I paid 1,500 naira. Some hooligans on the road have to determine. They are not the owners of the vehicle. They determine how much should be paid. They are telling the driver it's 115 they will take to Benin City. And we are compared to pay 1,500 naira because I was hurrying.
From Asaba to Benin?
No, to Benin City, 1,500. If it is under a military where you have to check certain excesses of some of us. In the days of Idiabon, I grew up in this country. I've never traveled overseas and I don't wish to travel because I have no business going there. I live in this country. Nigerians were obeying. Nigerians were standing on the line, war against indiscipline. Nobody throws the outside. People were conscious of the action. You get to the bank, you see people queuing up. You get to the post office, then when it was very functional, you see people queuing up. You see people, their gutters, they deceit them. You see people try to maintain their environment as it were. But today, nobody does that. You are waiting for government. Virtually everything, I'm waiting for government. You are waiting for government. The ones we would have done as individuals, we are not doing. So that is why the people in Sudan, they are looking at it, that the military will be better for us. Where certain actions will be taken. And then they reduce the cost of governance. Because this is another issue. Because in a democratic setting, you have a lot of persons gathered. A man is made a commissioner. He will look for his own personal assistant. His own personal assistant will look for his own personal assistant. That is what you find. The man is made a governor. You appoint PA, his own personal. Sometimes he will gather 10, 20, 50 persons who virtually are not doing anything. In the morning they wake up, they just sit down under the mango tree. Or sit down in the middle, they will be gossiping, looking at newspaper. That is what their job every day. In the end of the day, they go home. At the end of the month, you remove it from the money from the people. The money that would have been used for in development, you use it to do that. So these are the issues. So they look at it that military will be better for them. That if it's a military government, they will know what they are suffering. That these people will come take action, some certain drastic action. Because they are more or less like an Islamic country.
It is, yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about? Some certain actions need to be taken. It's not like when the Taliban came to Afghanistan accepted that you have bombing and all whatnot.
Yeah.
But people there, their head is normal. No matter how mad you are, you know there are certain things you will do. Either your left hand is chopped off or your right leg is chopped off.
The Sharia law.
You understand? The Sharia law. You know the consequences.
You are just.
Of what will happen to you. You are just. But in this part of the world, the politicians, they know that they steal money. After stealing money, it's a question of looking for one lawyer that will go to court and begin to file frivolous applications. Asking that it didn't matter, you begin to shout, rule of law, the man will not give me fair hearing. All these are stories. But in the military era, nobody is talking about fair hearing. Fair hearing for a criminal who has stolen the commonwealth of the people. You are talking about fair hearing for a man who has stolen the money that was given to him to do a road in his community, to build a health center. The man has stolen the money, buy a jeep and be driving. Or the man will build a mansion, gather the youth in the area, chair, buy drinks and cannabis for them to be smoking. When you not challenge such a man, they will not come and say they will kill you today. That is what. So that is why you find the people in Sudan, they are asking for a military regime where all these things will not happen, where nobody will begin to muzzle them into doing things they wouldn't have done.
All
so
right.
that is the position.
I will come back to that. Let's go to memory lane. Don't forget that al-Bashir from military became a civilian.
Yes,
A president, but still has that toga of military, and he was called a dictator.
Yeah.
He was the one that fought up military rule in the first instance. And right now, these same persons, they are asking for a military rule. Don't you think that there is more to this that meet the art? Don't you think there is someone along there pulling strings to make sure that the military comes back? Or does it mean that democracy has failed so many in Africa?
Democracy has failed so many in Africa. Democracy has failed us in Nigeria. It has failed us in Africa. It has failed in several places, most in Africa. Democracy has failed in Sudan. Yes.
Well, people will be like, for Nigeria, they may have a different opinion about that. They'll be like, look, we are still in democracy, so it hasn't really failed.
Well, the other day, we don't want to give people what they are discussing.
Let's focus more on Sudan right now.
Because the other day we're talking about electronic transfer of results. Look at what the Senate did to us. We have to mount pressure. We have to hold them down before they recanted.
All right, so back to Sudan.
In Sudan, as you said, Sudan, they've had Jaffa married almost 30 years. Abacha almost 30-something years. Good. Now, in almost 3 years, the people have not seen anything different. They say, who wear the shoes? Feel the pinches.
No, don't forget they have a joint government, military and politicians.
What is happening in that council? You don't have clear-headed people. Some of us we have chaired organizations. We are members of boards. We know what is happening. If you are in a committee, if you are in an arrangement where people are not clear-headed, they'll be dancing around. Nothing good will come. You need somebody that will show leadership. You need somebody that will demonstrate a transparent leadership. Somebody that will display honest leadership, people-oriented leadership. That has not happened with this with Hamdok, prime ministership in Sudan. It has not happened. 400 inflation percent in Khartoum, in a country.
Are you putting the blame of just the prime minister? What about the people
But
in government with him?
he's the leader of government. The box top on this table.
We are talking about right now him being surrounded by military personnel, telling him what to do and what not to do.
They are not clear-headed. And you agree with me that all these people who are in that council, they did not jump from sky. They've been around.
They live in the community.
They have been around over 30 years when they have Muhammad Abacha, and they've been there. So people with clean blood, when I say clean blood, political clean blood, that's what the people are yearning for. That's what they are chanting for. And as I said, there is this thing that happened in a country. Yes, Sudan had hopeless, manipulated dictatorship, military dictatorship. But maybe God want to step in. Maybe something clear-headed will just come. We've had somebody in Rollins in Ghana. We've had somebody in Egypt. We have Sankara. Sorry, Blaise Compaoré cut off the dream in Burkina Faso. But thank God, they are being held accountable now. No matter how long, the ghost of Sankara,
yes.
is working. Ghost of Sankara is working in Burkina Faso. We have a new guy who said, we are not going to be business as usual. Something new is happening in Burkina Faso. The people want something to happen new in Sudan. As I said, government just want to use this process to throw up a clear-headed character that will right the wrongs and do the right thing and let the people have some fun. I'm telling you. And great, at period of fever situation like this, some great men do come up. So we go into history. How do Winston Churchill became prime minister in Britain? It was Hitler that wanted to consume Europe, and Churchill and Co. He took himself into power. He was an orator of the highest level. He was a leader that appeared in Britain during the darkest hours. Churchill virtually used his mouth to change the situation against Hitler. Before the land lease system, Roosevelt, all those things that brought weapons from across the ocean, and they fought Hitler. Though America was out of the isolationism was happening in America at that time. Yeah. But a Churchill was able to do that. Fantastic diplomatic moves that supply ammunition behind the scene, and they fought Hitler. So we want somebody, great men can come up from Sudan. If it could happen in Burkina Faso, why not Sudan? Even Nigeria, some of us are saying we are even tired of this democratic system. Some of us are already talking. What are we going to have in 2023? Are we going to have the same crop of leaders, senile leaders who have no conscience for the people?
All right.
Is that what we have? That is what the Sudanese are fighting for now.
Calm down right now. Calm down right now. Please just calm down. Now, if you take a look at the situation, pundits of the opinion that is because of what transpired in Mali, and of course other parts of West African bloc that measure came over to take over power. Is that what is replicating itself right now in Sudan? Is that what they want? Is that the spark they've been waiting for?
Well, you see, just as I said, there's no smoke without fire. The issue still remains that if the people are satisfied with the governance, nobody will agitate for a change. If the people have equality and justice in their own motherland, because you find out that in Africa, some of us are just treated as if we are slaves in our motherland. That is the challenge. A man who cannot do that, which makes him a man, even the Bible makes you understand that he's an infidel.
It's an infidel.
The family will not recognize it. A man who cannot feed his family, what are you talking about? And every day of the man's life, he's just busy counting it as if he's just existing. He's not living. And that is what you find in Sudan. The people are existing. They have not decided to say, no, we cannot continue to exist. Ordinarily, as a people, we are supposed to live. Because God has endowed us with natural resources that will uplift our nation and make us a better persons. They'll make us to live our life to its world, to its fullness. But because we have few persons who have ganged themselves up and placed themselves in position of authority, these few persons have felt that everything begins with them and ends with them. Some persons accepted may be pushing them to ask for the military regime. They have seen it. They have tested both areas.
Yeah, they've tested.
They have tested. So they know
they've seen both worlds.
For them. But I see that in Africa, as it were, the type of democracy we practice is not the type that they practice in other parts of the world. The type of democracy we practice here is the one that makes your people poorer than as you met them. That is the type of democracy we practice in this part of the world. Because very few persons put themselves in a position of authority, ensure that they continue to drop it in your hands.
Wow.
Election will soon be coming in 2023. You will see our people running over salt. You can imagine a human being running over salt. Running over rice, maybe 2 or 3 rubber of rice. In a society where people are safe, it does not happen. So the type of democracy we practice in this part of the world is the one that impoverishes the people. So African leaders must try to do their things their own way. They should look into inwards. Stop practicing the type of democracy you find in Britain and London. People there in that part of the world are not greedy. People in those parts of the world are not selfish. People in those part of the world want to serve the people, and at the end of the day, posterity will remember them. Oh, Tony Blair was a prime minister in Britain. He was remembered. Oh, Nelson Mandela was a president in South Africa. He will be remembered. But in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria and other African countries, you cannot remember anybody who came at any point in time and made life better than the people. So what we're saying in essence is that we must practice a democracy that will be for the benefit of the people. A democracy so that definition, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. So that it will not be a government for the elite, by the elite and their family. So that is what we should do.
All right. From what is happening right now, from what you can see on the screen, is like a tip of the iceberg that really happened in Sudan. Do you see this being an opportunity for the military to really cement the authority in Sudan?
Well,
and don't forget that these same people fought against military rule. Don't forget that in a hurry.
As we have been very clear, we have been very explicit on this program that the Sudanese, they've seen both ends. They've seen Jafar Nimeri decades of ruthless, despotic power that came to play. They saw Habasha with another, highest level of despotism. Now, in 3 years, they become disillusioned. They are being pushed to the wall. And they say, we want something else. It's like, okay, where do we go? These people cannot take us to the promised land. If we want to go back to our vomit, let's go to our vomit and let's see what will come out from the vomit. I think that is the situation. And what is happening in Sudan is not dissimilar with what my learned friend has graphically been able to articulate. Graphically articulate, where you have people who are non-entities, who they don't enter power, access power, they become some glorified idiots around, calling people, that's how he let them, hey, cheer, people who don't have foresight, who doesn't have vision, people who do not have a compass to take people to the future. The people of Sudan, they want characters that will give them a compass. They want compass displayers. They want somebody that will say, hey, we want to get here. This is where we are going. This is what we want to be done. Let's put a welfare system. Let's release money. No matter how today Sudan is one of the poorest countries on earth. Yes. People are malnourished. People, they are not sure of the next meal. And even if it's the poorest, there's a way out. If you have a government that is clear-headed, and let it be. The people, they won't change. They won't change. They are tired, sick, tired of what is happening. And as I said, as a civil society person, everything is being planned. Everything is being planned. My prayer is that if this transition government caves in, it might cave in. It might cave in. This pressure can collapse this government. My prayer is that this country do not degenerate into anarchy. That in the present situation should throw up a clear-headed leader, that I've been saying, who will now midwife a genuine transition program.
Because right now,
there's no confidence in this transition system.
They're not talking about transition. They say we want military.
They've no confidence. They are tired. They've seen what they're doing. As Sudanese.
And these were the same persons that fought against military rule. Yes. Does it make sense?
They are Sudanese. Just as we are seeing in this country. For instance, we know what happened before 1999. The callous military that came up, all the destruction, the destructive nature that they brought to Nigeria before 1999. What do we have? He was talking about one of the great landmarks we have was done by the military. Just like the Gowon era. Yes, the state creation and all that.
So you're saying that the military is like a two-edged sword, so to speak.
Yes. We are not saying the best government is military. No. Viewers will not take us from that point of view.
But that's what Sudan.
We are not military apologists. I'm not a military apologist.
But the Sudanese said they want military rule.
Yes, because
Okay.
okay.
Hold on.
Just as I rightly said,
An apologist.
you see, a man who wears his shoes know where he puts it. You understand what I'm talking about? These people have looked at the 30 years that has come and passed, the 3 years. These people do no longer want to continue with the same thing. A man has planted cocoyam and expecting to dig up plantain. It's not possible. That is what you find in this part of the world. Some of our African leaders, we practice the time of democracy that will not favor us. Look at what is the need of the people. What do these people need?
What do they really need?
What does an average African need? It's a roof over his head.
Food. Hunger.
What he will take care of the children, ensure that they have education. Once all these things are there, the average African man is not interested if you are busy looting. And the same thing we are talking in this part of the world. You ask yourself questions.
Can you imagine that?
It's not as if our leaders cannot do this right until we remove the greed. The church has failed us. Just like, I don't know, like, because they are Islamic nation. Yeah. What has the imam, what have they preached in their mosque? What have they told their leaders? Because we all should be partners in ensuring that our nation becomes a better place. The church should play a role. The traditional institutions should play a role. They must ask our leaders, no, my brother, we brought you into power because the people needed a change. This is the needs of the people. Address it. Remove the issue of your personal interest. Remove the issue of trying to acquire wealth for generations of born. All these are there. The man goes to the church. If he's one that goes to the church, he will sit in the church. Let his pastor or his reverend or his bishop, whoever is in charge, remind him always that the purpose of putting you in position of authority is to serve the welfare of your people. The man should be drumming it to his ears. Everybody in the church, in the mosque, even in the traditional institution, this awareness must be created. Let our people remove ourselves from the idea of selfishness, from the idea of greed, and understand that what the people need is service. It's not as if the Africans generally, as it were, that we cannot do better than what we are doing. It's because we try to copy America, we try to copy Britain, but we don't copy the ones that will be beneficial to us. We only copy the bad side of it. Nobody copies the good side. The good side of it that you need to be selfless. That you don't need to be greedy. You don't need to acquire wealth here and there when you cannot use them. Because some of all the wealth, go to the houses they build, both in their villages and towns here. When they die, you go to the houses. Nobody lives in them. Apart from rats, cockroaches, and lizards are living in their mansions. Because they build houses that have no use to themselves and to their families.
Wastages.
A man will build mansion that you will stay in only a room in one space that is no more than 4 feet and 6 feet. At the end of the day, you die. That edifice, not even to the common man, you send your children overseas. And then you now leave us here in this part of the world that we should die. That is what you find in Africa.
All right, our time is up. Our time is up. Igbotako, you have the last line on this discussion. What do you think will be the way forward right now in Sudan? And of course, there's so many other African countries watching and listening to this particular segment of International Forum.
For me, the people of Sudan, the protesters, should continue their protest. More than ever before, they should hit the system very hard, because that is the way they can secure their change. If they mellow down, they will not get change. And then they continue to struggle. In the process of struggling, who knows, a positive character may appear on the scene. We've seen it before, it will happen again. And we are not saying, I'm not a military apologist. Viewers, I'm not a military apologist. I'm a democracy activist. I believe in democracy. But when we are confronted with a dicey situation, and not people, tension, slippery situation, you sort out the best. I'm sure in a struggling situation, in a situation like this, the people should continue to agitate until the best thing comes to play. Because that will send a message. Because now, for instance, if the transition program, they will not, because the other day the Prime Minister was talking, he addressed the people and saying, oh, we are in a dilemma. What do we do? If they have agenda before, political agenda, I'm sure they have to revisit the agenda. That the people are protesting, people are on neck. So for me, to the Sudanese protesters, continue to agitate continue to agitate until your demands are met, until good character comes up to play.
All right, thank you so much, Ibotakono Winter. Of course, our legal practitioner here with us in the studio, Henry Walls. I appreciate a wonderful analysis. Let's see how this how this will pan out, because right now the protest is still raging on, and the military would want to remove the barricade for them to continue with the protest. Don't forget that this same Sudan fought against military rule. Why do they want to go back to the military rule? Why are they calling for a military coup? Only time will tell. Bye for now.